What makes a house an outstanding home? And veteran architect and lecturer Michael Angus. His eye for detail is uncompromising.
So what I am looking for in a home is for it to be exceptional in its ability to embrace, to entertain, and to exalt.
But in the end, only one house will be Scotland's Home of the Year. The next home for the judges' consideration is near Lenthron on the Bewley Firth. The mansion apartment is home to John and Tanya. Lenthron House dates back to 1866, formerly the Inverness Lord Provost's residence and an RAF building before it was split to create 6 separate dwellings. Initially, they rented here, and when it came up for sale, they jumped at the chance to own their part of this Highland historic house.
We started off renting the place, and we had no idea we were going to buy it. But eventually it came on the market, and we snapped it up because we just loved it, and we couldn't wait to get rid of the magnolia walls.
We have done everything ourselves. We panelled the rooms ourselves, we laid the floors, we've tiled the bathrooms, we've built the ornaments. We've done absolutely everything ourselves.
John and Tanya's apartment is on the basement of the house. It comprises 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, kitchen and living room, and an outside-inside sunroom.
Okay, so we're in the sitting room, and this is our favourite place because it probably took the longest to do and we spent the most time putting everything together. So I'm going to make this our favourite place.
With such a rich history, what will the judges think of the mansion apartment?
Well, that's a very big home.
It's quite spectacular, isn't it? I can only hope we're going to end up in one of these turrets.
Like Rapunzel.
Michael can let down his hair.
Yeah, I know. Someone come and let me out.
It looks quite well maintained, doesn't it? The front doors definitely had a bit of a makeover, so I'm thinking inside it's going to be quite fresh.
I'm curious to see what has actually been sort of, colonised to make a new home in such a big building.
It's also quite a challenge to convert a building that was designed to be a single home into multiple dwellings, like to actually divide something like that up and create meaningful spaces. I'm really interested to see which bit we're going to get into.
Right, should we go check it out?
Yes, let's.
Ooh. Wow, this floor is incredible.
The scale of everything is huge, isn't it? The giant floor and the giant archway. I feel like it's like Alice in Wonderland. That's not quite so grandiose, is it?
It's not quite so Scottish baronial.
We know we're going down to the basement, but the stairs don't go down, so...
Take the lift.
This is a ride. You first, Michael.
My liege.
Are you scared?
Maybe we should test it on him first.
We're going to go back in time. Gothic already, isn't it?
Cats and animals with clothes on, that always makes me feel a bit strange. I'm nervous already and we haven't gone that much further into the flat. Oh, wow, look at this. Apollo 11, look at that. Fantastic. Some people don't think it really happened, you know.
We have to come to a basement in a baronial mansion in Scotland to find out that it really did.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like this before, so I'm guessing they must be quite crafty and maybe have made it themselves.
Yeah, it looks like it. Kind of wonder what else they're going to do, don't they? Because you're going to do that. It's kind of leaving the door wide open to anything, isn't it?
Oh, wow.
A curved sofa.
They've got some really interesting pieces of furniture here. They've got a desk here, which is G-plan, but that's actually not originally a desk. That was a dressing table, because I've got one of those, and I've still got the mirror that attaches on the back of it. It's a lovely piece.
I mean, it's lovely, actually, isn't it? Because it actually feels as if it's kind of embracing the room, isn't it? Totally see why this is where you put the heart, isn't it? This is definitely the heart of the home.
I love it in here and I adore panelling, but I do think it's quite dark. I really feel like I would probably have lightened it up and gone for white on the walls and maybe even painted the ceiling a colour. I just feel like it's really coming in. It feels quite enclosed in here.
Despite all their handmade stuff, they still have got exquisite taste because they have, of course, the Corbusier recliner. And they do have one of these, which
Put it
I
on.
think is like that.
You're like you're about to pull a rabbit out of it.
Talk about bringing the outside in.
Or is it bringing the inside out?
Well, yeah, aye. Okay, we'll leave that. We'll come back to that.
Isn't it lovely to have come from in there, which is quite dark and enclosed, into this really lovely, bright and open space? I really feel like I can breathe a bit more in here.
Well, it's a deliberate move, isn't it? If you've got an apartment which has lots of dark and dramatic spaces, because that's the character of those spaces, you need a counterpoint, and that's exactly what they've created here. So you've got something that provides that contrast, light, height, exactly what you're saying, Kate.
This is rich, isn't it? Rich colours.
It's certainly atmospheric. Getting more of that kind of Gothic feel in here.
I'm loving this photo mural, taking up this whole wall. It's going to remind anyone that this is probably what the home was originally like.
It's a lot of industrial pieces in here, isn't there? From the lights up here, and then I noticed when we walked in these sort of fixtures here, which are pretty fun. It's always those little details that make a room, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a steampunk aesthetic that we've seen moving throughout the home, which is a kind of combination of an obsession with Victoriana and sort of Gothic drama and retro future visions with the pipes as handles. I'm going to categorise this as steampunk.
How will the judges rate the mansion apartment? Michael is holding his score back until they've all seen the final home.
I kind of like to understand a lot about the homeowner as we walk around. And it was also just such a fun home to be in. As we were walking around, we were laughing and joking, and there was always something to sort of point out, which is just so fun in a home. And I can imagine that's how their guests and their visitors feel. I'm going to give this home an 8.
I think if you try and fight with the natural tendencies of a space, then that's when you can fail. Spaces like these with low ceilings and small windows are never going to feel light and bright. So you're better off playing to the strengths and making it dark and cozy and atmospheric. I think it's very successful. I'm going to give this home an 8.
We're obviously in a basement, and basements come with certain conditions. The light sources are going to be less. The windows are probably going to be higher up in the room. You're going to come into spaces where they're unusual because it's where the weight of the building comes down. And the owners have just added to this weight by sort of darkening down everything and not being afraid to do that. I really, really admire the sort of the spirit of this home.
Now that the judges have visited all 3 homes, they can see how their scores compare and reveal this week's finalist. Michael is yet to reveal his score for the mansion apartment near Lenthron.
This spectacular baronial building with a secret in the basement. Kate, you gave it an 8. I also gave it an 8. Are we going to achieve perfect symmetry, Michael?
Interesting. I always think it's quite difficult to take on a basement, and particularly to convert a basement in this mansion. But I had to admire the boldness by which this was done. So I gave this home a 9.
Oh, he's a fan. So, an 8, an 8 and a 9 gives the mansion apartment 25. Things are hotting up.